Today we're making chocolate truffles, Albert Kumin's recipe from chef school. I've been making these for 40 plus years. Great to put a half a truffle on pie slices. It's like a ball of high-end fudge. With this recipe, you'll be able to make at least 15 of these boxes, and it's just a great Christmas gift. They're fun to make. It's a family project. All you gotta do is use high quality ingredients, follow the steps. It's a no-brainer. I learned this recipe when I was in New York at chef school. Albert Kumin was our pastry chef at the time. He was pastry chef for the John F. Kennedy presidency. He was from Switzerland. He was a chocolate expert. This recipe I got from him, and I've been using it ever since. It's great. So today I'm going to show you how to make it. I'm going to show you how to decorate the truffles, but what a great Christmas gift. Chocolates are always well received. And so we're gonna get right to it. To make the filling for the ganache, you need 4 things: cream, sugar, butter, and a good chocolate. I'm using a Belgian dark chocolate. What I've done before this though is I've melted the chocolate I'm gonna roll the truffles in. I brought the temperature up to about 90, 92. I melted the chocolate halfway, took it off the heat, and I cooled it down to 86. And now we're heating it back up to 90. And what we're doing is we're tempering the chocolate. What that does for us is it gives us a better break, a better snap, keeps the chocolate from getting frosty. You know, I've got my digital thermometer here, and yeah, we're just right where we want to be at 92. So I'm going to take that off, and that's ready for us to roll our truffles. I've got gloves on. So in my small pot here, 3 ounces of heavy cream, 4 ounces of unsalted butter, 4 ounces of granulated sugar, and we bring that to a simmer, and we've got our 1 1/4 pounds of dark chocolate, good quality. And we don't want to turn this into caramel, so we want to swirl this cream into the sugar a little bit so we don't get any dark spots. All we want to do here is get the sugar melted, the butter melted, and then like making a ganache, we're going to turn the heat off and we're going to add the chocolate. So I've got the chocolate re-warmed up to just like around 91 right now. And what I've done ahead of time was I made a double batch, and it's right here, and I let it sit out overnight. I didn't put it in the refrigerator, and it firmed up just like this. And this is what you want. This is the base for truffles. Now, if you wanted to flavor this with creme de coco or Marnier or raspberry liqueur, you can, and you would add 2 ounces of liqueur to this part of the process to get that flavoring in. So ahead of time, what I did was I scooped out a pan. I got them right here, about a half a tablespoon per. As you can see, Zach, we got some, this happens quickly, but we mix this once we start to see it boiling, and we get this butter melted. Because we really don't want to reduce this. You know, we want this to have the same volume as what we started with. Otherwise, the recipe will adjust. So you don't have to stand over it, but it happens so quickly that, you know, don't leave to take a phone call. Okay, so that butter is melted, that sugar is melted, and it's bubbling. We turn the heat off, and like ganache, you add all the chocolate at once. And you go slowly at first. You don't want this splashing all over the place. It will melt, don't worry. And you blend this in till the chocolate is completely melted. And as it's melting, you can speed up your stirring. This recipe makes a great frosting for a chocolate cake. This recipe makes a great filling for a chocolate cake. And see how this just gets nice, thick. Now, when Albert taught us this recipe, he would let it set like this, and then he would put it in a mixer, and he would add the liquor in without cooking it, which we're really not cooking it over here. He would put it into a mixer, and with a paddle, he would mix it slowly to get that liquor in. And what it does is it fluffs up the filling a little bit and changes it. But I really like this denser version because it really gives you a chocolate pop. So that's our ganache. You can make that a day ahead of time. You can make it a few days ahead of time. You just have to pull it out of the refrigerator for a good 4 hours to get it soft again. You know, you have to take the chill out of it. There's so much fat in here, but as you can see, that's our ganache filling. Like I said, that makes a great frosting, makes a great filling for cake. Good stuff there. You cover this, you reserve it, you let it sit out overnight in a cool spot, kind of like what I did. Then you end up with this. Then I scoop half tablespoon portions. You don't want them to be too big. With a truffle, you want them to be no more than 2 bites. These were in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes, and now I've got some powdered sugar to put on in my hand. This really works well with gloves, and you want to just smooth out the edges. It doesn't have to be perfectly round because they aren't called truffles because they look like truffles. truffles, and they're luxurious, but they're not supposed to be perfect round balls. They're supposed to look like truffles that came out of the ground. Now, there's two ways to coat these. You could do it with just cocoa powder. You could omit the chocolate altogether. You know, a lot of truffles are done that way. That even gives them more of an authentic look, like a truffle. This is something that you do with the family, you know. When you get to this stage where they're all rolled, everybody's wearing gloves and dipping in chocolate and rolling. It becomes a really fun project for the family to do. And it's a really great Christmas gift. You know, you pack these chocolates up like 6 to a really decorative holiday box. It's really a special treat for anybody who receives them. I've been doing it for Christmas every year since I learned how to make these in chef school. And it's always my go-to for something that I want to show someone that I care and love them and that they're special to me. I make them truffles for Christmas. So again, I'm just rolling these. You know, I only take sugar when I think I'm getting a little sticky in my hands. Wanted to do about 1.5 dozen for this show so it keeps moving along. We've got our truffles rolled, and you would do these all at once. So if you did a big batch of these, you get all the truffles portioned, you get all the truffles rolled. Then you would throw them into the refrigerator to let them set up for about 10 minutes, and then you'd go into the chocolate. So that's what we're gonna do. I want them to be cold, so when I do the chocolate layer, the chocolate will set up right away. So once your filling is done and it's cooled off to room temperature, you get yourself a scoop. You know, this one is about a tablespoon, so I got about 3/4 of a scoop, and I scoop them. And like I said, if you were to mix the alcohol in with this filling, you would do it in a mixer with a paddle, and you would go until the color of the chocolate started to change colors to a lighter color. That's when you would stop. And what you're doing is you're just making it a little bit less dense, and you're flavoring it with the liqueur. You know, when I did liqueur, I usually did Cavassier or a cognac, because it just seemed like very gourmet to me. I'm not a big fan of fruity stuff with my chocolates. You know, I never really cared for orange or raspberry interfering with my chocolate experience. I would use cream de cocoa or Cavassier. All right, these go in the refrigerator. We let them set because, see, they're still soft. I mean, I could roll them right now because they're cool enough. Just use a little powdered sugar. But you have to work fast at this point if they're not refrigerated. You know, I'm just doing 2 or 3 rolls. I don't want them to melt in my hand. And you don't want to pack them with a lot of powdered sugar on there, because what's going to happen is that's going to come off into your chocolate and you're going to see streaks of powdered sugar. So you just use enough powdered sugar to keep it from getting too sticky in your hands. You can see the glove starting to pick up some of that chocolate because of the warmth of my hands. I mean, truffles are so good because they melt in your mouth. They have butter in there, which gives them that nice, buttery, smooth velvet texture that we all love about truffles. But I mean, the most work here is just making sure that your prep work is done properly, your chocolate is tempered, and now these go into the refrigerator till they get nice and cold, and then we'll roll them in the chocolate. Okay, now these are nice and hard, they're out of the fridge. What we want to do is we want to put chocolate into our left hand, and then we take our fingertips with our right hand and we swirl it. And we set that on top of a clean sheet pan without any paper or anything, and we dip our fingers into the chocolate if we feel we need some more. But we don't want to overdo it because we don't want the bases of the truffle to have this huge flat bottom. So I toss this truffle, I notice I need a little bit more. You know, if it starts to get a little heavy, I spread my fingers. You know, I wipe my fingers off on my left hand. That's the cup of where I'm tossing the chocolate. I just wet my fingers a little bit with a little chocolate to get extra chocolate, and we're talking like a teaspoon or so. When Albert taught us how to do these truffles, we double hand rolled them, and the size of the middle was half this size. He had us do them much smaller and with 2 coatings of chocolate, but that is just so labor intensive. And I like the bigger truffle because, like butter, I like to see my teeth marks in it. So that's why I only do them once. But Albert did them twice. So, you know, I just want to be true to his recipe and let you know the things that he did that made his truffles so spectacular. But the filling and a hard coating on a truffle is just, you can't beat it. You know, you have 2 people at the most working out of a bowl. And also when you're melting chocolate, you want to do it in a stainless bowl like this. It carries the heat quickly and it cools off quickly like you want it to when you're tempering your chocolate. You know, you want the temperature to come down to about 85, 86 degrees, and I'm working quickly because this chocolate will cool off. You know, if it gets below 84, you know, you keep your pot of water on the stove and you can set your bowl. See, notice how some of these truffles, Zach, I got a little bit of a flat bottom going. That's not really what you want. You want to try and stay away from that. So as I toss it in my fingers, I'm also getting that excess chocolate off. And if one touches like this, just push it off. And don't let it stick. Because the chocolate is tempered, it's liable to break off nice and crisp and leave an opening of the inside of the truffle, and we don't want that. This is basically encapsulating it so it almost preserves it to give it some extra shelf life. And again, we use powdered sugar for rolling these. You could use cocoa powder as well, but like I said, when you do roll them, see how nice and clean these are? We don't want them loaded with powdered sugar. It's kind of like when you flour a piece of meat to saute. You just want to dredge it and shake it off and make sure it's as dry as possible because we don't need it. We only need it just to help us get that nice roll. And so now I've got my chocolates rolled, and while the chocolate is still soft, I dip my fingertips and I do the shake. See those little strands that it's putting on there? You see that? That's what you want. And if you want to make some of these with pistachio, you sprinkle that on top while the chocolate is still wet. You know, I say you do the stripes on all of them. You can take crushed up peppermint candy cane, chop those up, and now you got a mint chocolate truffle. And I did this fresh myself. You know, don't buy this stuff all pre-done already, you know, chop it up yourself. It's like garlic for shallots. And if you don't want to put any toppings on them, you can leave them plain just like this. So there it is. I mean, I don't know how long this video has been, but it's been 20 minutes. Most of the time takes tempering your chocolate, making your base, rolling them out, and going through it. But look how gorgeous these are. They're gonna look super great on the Medusa plate. And that is Chef Albert Kumin's chocolate truffle. I encourage you to make this for your family. They're gonna love them, and maybe make it a tradition at Christmas like I do. You wanna be able to grab it and drop it right away. You don't want to handle, see how it starts to melt in your fingers? I guess we all do want to see the middle of one though, don't we? Zach is saying, boss, you need to cut it. Look at that. It's like a ball of high-end fudge. This truffle this size is a good 2 to 3 bites.